Good day and good evening, and welcome to the moon! With me, Chaiji, but you can just call me Kai. This is a little bit like a slightly different walk and talk. Instead of going from one place to another, and then we review some clips. What's going to be happening is that I'll be hanging out on the moon! And then in between, every so often, we'll review some clips. Which, you know, in fairness, even when we do reach our destination, a lot of the time, I'll end up, like, sprinkling in clips to review, so same seas, right? But that'll be the plan. I think this is also a good opportunity to talk a little bit about how cosmic exploration works for those that haven't even tried it yet, or maybe you did try it and you're like, this is a bit much. So maybe I can help you get properly started. I actually have specifically made sure that I have a tool ready to start from scratch as well, which is what we'll be working on as we're doing this. But that's pretty much the plan. Now, the thing is, the way that this cosmic exploration works is that you can only go to the moon like this on your home world, which means that this is of course on Louisoire Chaos. For those that are on Louisoire Chaos, if you want to hang out with me, I am in Instance 5, and if you ever see me in-game and I happen to be on the moon, like you happen to like check, like search my name and you see that I'm in this particular area, then I'll pretty much always be in Instance 5. I specifically choose Instance 5, and if they reduce it to like 3 instances or 2, I'll choose the highest number. So like if there's 3, I'll choose Instance 3. So you always just choose the highest number if you're looking for me. And if I'm not there, it's because the game said I couldn't be, for whatever reason. Now, with that said, hey Xehanauto, hey Taluma, hey Seras, hey Lana, hey Milo, hey Gasol, hey Ilya, hey Monica, hey Campfire King, hey Rost, hey Tinari, hey Aerodel, hey Ayataria. Hope you're all doing very well. And thank you so much for celebrating 7 months as part of the Cult of the Pink, Agent Monica. Let's hope Scamming Way doesn't scam you too hard today. I kid you not, yesterday I came down to Scamming Way themselves with 5,000 of the big dollary dues to trade in, and I walked away with like 2 blue die. And a lot of disappointment. Like, I got like a materia and prisms and a table. So, for those curious, I believe Louisoire is like either middle of the pack or behind a bit on the cosmic exploration progression. We're halfway through stage 5, it looks like. I don't know if this counts as stage 5 or 6. Let me put it like this. I understand that as you upgrade, these like hoverboards will extend further out. We don't have that yet. There you go. And hey Phil, hope you're doing well. Even hearing the music in the background is triggering me. Whoops. Right. Hey Duskit, hope you're doing well, and same to you gamer. So, for those that have done nothing on the moon, there is a little bit of things to get started with. Right when you land, only a few of these menus will be available to you. Likely scenario is that this one is available to you. You might be thinking, I need to talk with some guy to unlock other stuff. No, just do a few missions and then the things will unlock all on their own. That's all you have to worry about. So you just grab your favorite crafter or gatherer and get to work. A particular thing to keep in mind about progressing here is that once you have finished your first tool, like once you've fully researched one, you get a 50% boost to research acquired for your next tools. And once you hit 3, it goes up to 100%. Once you hit 5, it goes up to 150%. I think that's where it caps. It might even cap at 7. But the key thing to keep in mind here is that optimally, you start by just going whole hog on just one tool. Don't mix it up too much. So I highly recommend you choose one where you're fine with that. A particular disadvantage of gathering is that you will have to wait for your GP to recover to do a lot of the tasks. So sometimes it might be like gathering is fine, but you probably need to find something else to do while you wait for GP to recover. And on your first tool, optimally, that is not crafting. So if you can plan it out, take it from me, it might be smarter to have your first tool be a crafting one. After that, you can do them in pairs with the same result, as you can see I've done here. I did minor first, and I did alchemy and botany at the same time. Also, hey, Failsafe and Leah and Naomi, hope you're doing well. And yeah, you only need to complete like 6. Do you only need to do 6.0? That is really early. You don't even need to get to Dawntrail? So you shouldn't level all of the crafters in at the same time. I mean, if you're using it for leveling, that's a completely different story. But if you're using it, if you're specifically progressing cosmic research, then you should try to focus on only one thing. Now, there are a few different things in this base here. Notably, there is the lunar credits and the cosmo credits. The lunar credits are used for two things. Two things only. The first one is this guy over here, the Mech Ops guy, will sell you a ticket for 1,000 lunar credits. And as long as you have one, whenever a Mech Ops mission pops up, you can apply as pilot. And if you get picked, you'll do the mission as a pilot. And the reward is some Cosmo credits and a ticket that you can use for, I have been told, slightly better odds on a roll here. So like you get the roll for free, or for the ticket, but that roll should be slightly better, quote unquote. I don't know if I agree with that, but I mean, RNG, right? The only other thing you can use the lunar credits for is orbiting way, also known as scamming way here. I don't have enough to show you, but essentially you get offered 2 roulettes and you choose which one you want to spin on, and then you can get your 10 prisms that are worth nothing. Fantastic. The next thing is, whenever you have enough research, this guy will have a little exclamation mark. And you can then report that to get your your tool upgraded. If you don't have a tool, you can inquire about cosmic tools to be given one. If you already have one, he'll basically say you already have that. And when you enter initially, you get a coffer that you can use to open to get given one. For some reason. And finally, over here you have a merchant that sells various crafter-gatherer gear, but it's normal quality, so it's not that good. But hey, it's better than nothing. And this guy sells the various Cosmo credit item, where there's an outfit, there's an emote, there's glasses, there's some music, there's a framer, and there's a new pink dye, among other things. Oh, that's also true, Kid. I've also been told that when you do the Mech Ops, there's a chance that you get rewarded the amount that is in the Cosmic Fortunes at Scamming Way. It's also true, there's 2 new pink dyes. One of them is metallic. Now, that's what's in the base. So the next thing you may want to be on top of is the Stellar Successes. This is a daily. This set is a daily, and it gives you extra stuff. And it resets at the same time of day that the weekly reset resets. So like in EU, it's like, you know, a little bit like a few hours before noon or something like that. Like it's in the morning in EU. You know, make sure to do this. You just have to you just have to hang out a bit and you'll get it. It doesn't take that much. This one is basically like an achievement list. You're not meant to finish all this necessarily. You just work your way through. You can see, apparently I've done like nearly half of the things here. But that can also mean you suddenly get a big, like a burst of stuff when you complete a task. And then there's this, if you want to be sure to know when things upgrade, this is where you look. And this is the research tab. Whenever you fill all the bars here, you can upgrade your tool. And you should do that because how upgraded it is determines how much research you can have. Like, for instance here, this is a fully maxed out one. I can have 3,000 of these three and 2,000 of this one. But if I went and just grinded the Culinarian tool, I would only be able to get the first kind of research. I wouldn't even be able to see the higher levels of research, and I would only be able to accumulate 500. So optimally, I basically hang out over there as I do my Culinarian stuff, and whenever a little exclamation mark appears, I go and say, hey, hook me up. And then you just continue from there. A little harder with gathering, since you need to be out and about to do that. And speaking of out and about, there's these stellar missions. For crafting, it might be handy to use something like a solver. One that Shaq recommended me is one called Raphael. Where you just put in your stats somewhere, and then you put in the requirements of the specific craft, and then you click solve, and then it spits out a macro or two for you depending on how long it is. And it'll also show you the expected result of it, so you can see how likely it is that you'll actually get something out of it. And that will be one of the fastest, or at least easiest ways for you to progress, is to just, you know, have a macro and just set that to work as you, I don't know, plan what you're doing next. For gatherers, it's a little different. It's different in a different way, in that the different missions will require different planning, because you only have certain tools or certain actions, you could say. And a big tip from me, and I'm saying this because apparently this was a problem that was reported as a bug. I'm just saying. And thank you so much for the super chat, Campfire King. Culinarian's tasting paint. Yeah, that one is a good one. Also, hey, Dark Phoenix. And Tiana. Hope you're doing well. Sometimes, Dark Phoenix, but that's how expert recipes are sometimes. I found an A rank mission that I could automate. And I just used that one for level 4 research for alchemy. And my gear isn't that good. Like, I'm dealing with this, and this, and this. So if you see that I can do it, you probably can too. Right, back to this. Read the task. Like, for instance, this one, energization materials, you will get, like, if you just go to a node and just mine it, you'll get like 0 points, then 50 points, and 50 points, and 50 points, and then like 100 points, and 150, and then 200, and then 200 repeatedly, if you can keep mining it, which you can't without abilities. On the other hand, each time you proc Gatherer's Boon, you'll get 200 points immediately. So on this task, actions like the Mountaineer's Gift, and these two stack, by the way, can be very helpful. Meanwhile, if you have a task where it's only chains, you basically need to stack as much GP as you can and then just go full blast on getting as many attempts on one node as you can. If you can find one that starts at 5 integrity, even better. I usually avoid these because the reward just isn't worth it. There's also all these where you just need to gather stuff within a time limit, where I typically find that Bountiful Yield is a lot more helpful than the King's Yield, because my Bountiful Yield tends to give me +2 items, whereas King's Yield also gives +2 items. But would you like to pay 400 for 4 times 2 extra items, or would you like to pay 500 for 4 times 2 extra items, right? Same deal, it's just more expensive. But you might also benefit from Mountaineer's Gift there, depending on your your chance for Gatherer's Boon. But the key is take note of what's most effective. A particular type of mission that tends to catch people off guard are the reduction missions. The reduction missions and the collectible missions. There's a collectible one where you get 40 points for a really high collectability item, and you get 10 for one that is like so-so. So you really want to max out that collectability. On the reduction ones, if they have max collectability, like full 1000, they have a chance Like, they will give you 2 every time, but sometimes they'll give you 4, things like that. So these missions are basically saying you need 1000 collectability. You need to max it out. And the reason why I'm specifically stopping on stellar repair materials is because this this is like one of the most like time efficient missions, in my opinion. Like this, like if you see this one in your mission list and you need these 3 research, then you're doing this. Like, you should do this. And tip that someone else also mentioned in the chat: if you go to your mission log and you're like, there isn't any missions that you want to do, then you can grab one that you know you're not going to do. Just initiate it and then just cancel it immediately. Like, basically like this. Get nothing, and it will re-roll your mission list. However, if that mission you abandoned appears again before you complete a new mission, you will be locked out of it. It's basically saying you need to complete something. Like, you have to settle on something. But you can use that trick to reroll, and I'm pretty sure rerolling on one crafter or gatherer will also reroll your tasks on a different one. So you can go over here and be like, oh, there's not any of the alchemist ones I want. Let me just go over here and reroll one of these, and you're pretty good. Hey, Thundershocking and Sally. Hope you're doing well. But that's basically it. Like, try to be efficient about what tasks you choose. And the thing that I noticed with someone that does not have like maxed out crafting at all is that absolutely definitely some of these tasks are going to be brutally difficult for you to actually do at all, let alone automate them, just being able to do them. So if you can just find one that you can do, you could just settle on that. The only other things that you need to worry about, really, here on the moon is every time there is a mech ops, you can try and be the pilot. But if you miss that opportunity, if you're ground support, I don't know what you get if you get less than a gold rating. Weird flex over here. Only gotten gold ratings. But if you do get a gold rating at least, your next 20 stellar missions will give you like an extra 10 lunar credits and cosmo credits. Like, basically it gives you an extra 200. So it'll also get you 20. Okay. Notably, you lose one of those if you pick up a new mission and abandon it, and you don't get plus 10. Okay, so just participating gives you the 20. Fantastic. And not even participating. Well then. So essentially, if you're in the area, just go and be there so you get the bonus. Is what it comes down to. And sometimes you'll see like a 5-minute warning that then turns into a red alert. Take note of where it's actually happening and take note of what jobs are happening where so that you don't miss it, right? But those missions can give a lot of lunar credits and some cosmo credits, and if you're having a lot of trouble with getting level 4 crafting research, they're usually pretty easy to do. And they give level 4 research. I don't know if they're like the most time efficient way to get level 4 research, but they're better than nothing. And that's correct, Yassel. The pilot does not get the 20 bonuses. But that's the moon in a nutshell. I guess the one last thing to remember is if this is happening, like there's actually an upgrade fate going on in the base, I highly recommend that you participate and not just think, someone else will do it, because let me put it like this. The reward for doing it is like 900 Cosmo credits. You can make that in the time it takes to do the task. But if it fails, no upgrade, just nothing. And if everyone thinks that someone else will do it, then we're not getting the upgrade. Like, we're straight up not getting the upgrade. Yesterday, Louisoix got the upgrade mission. And we actually had to send like a guy to Limsa Lomensa to be like, guys, we need people on the moon. We're falling behind on the upgrade fate. And we were actually like just barely keeping up with the timer. And then as it progressed and more people came, like we even had like one of the sometimes you'll see a guy with like really flashy effects around them just crafting in the base. Like that. Which means that they're like one of the front runners. We had one or two of those stop what they were doing to help because we were falling behind. So basically what I'm saying is if you can see the mission is here, come help. We need everyone. And the more people help, the faster the upgrade will finish, and maybe the upgrade actually gives something helpful. I'm pretty sure the next upgrade on Louisoix will give like a hoverboard out here, so might be handy. Also, let's see here. Hey Stephanie. Hey Jacob. Hey Chloe. Hey Shadowtail, hey Noir Angel, hope you're all doing very well. And hey Fames, hope you're doing well as well. And yeah, at worst, the upgrade mission might just happen at a time where there isn't enough people. But just saying, if you're there, try and help. But that's the moon for you. Let's see. Let me just go over here. Oh, there's Jacob. Let me just go over here and let me see. Oh, this is probably the best one. Does it have a time limit? Nope, that is the favorite one for me then. And I'm just gonna demonstrate how I go about this. So I'm on my other monitor, punching in this information up here. And yeah, I'm perfectly aware I could probably wing this one. But if I can do it like this, then I can more easily just talk with all of you while doing this. So, let's see what is it called? There you go. Just for demonstration. And yeah, if some of you have seen crafting macros and go, why is it that there are also all these weight lines and whatnot in it? The way that macros work is that they play basically on the next pause at like 1 frame per line. So by having a weight 2, for instance, it means that when it reads it, like, well, it reads the line and then at the end it says wait 2, so it'll wait 2 seconds. And the reason why some actions wait 2 and others wait 3 is because some actions have like an animation log of below 2 seconds, and some actions have animation logs of below 3 seconds. So this is something people have figured out. Like, the animation of your character doing this takes less than 2 seconds, and the animation of the character, you know, doing something takes less than 3 seconds, but more than 2. And that's the reason why the macros are structured like that. Sometimes you'll find that such a macro will require more than 1 macro because there's a limit of 15 lines. So you go from there. Sometimes you might want to put in both macros. Sometimes you can just see that the second macro is do groundwork twice, and then you can just finish it yourself. Hey, Ridleyan. Hope you're doing well. But with that said, so I specifically made sure that I had a fresh relic here, or fresh tool to start on to show how it looks as you go through. I don't think we'll definitely not finish because I'll be distracted with various stuff. As soon as we've done a few of these, I'll probably like switch between doing this and doing clips, like maybe like a mission and then a clip that you sent, and then a mission and a clip or something to that effect. Maybe we'll even mix it up, because you can see I just start and then oh right, do I have to do 3 different ones, or can I just do the same one multiple times? I don't actually remember. So I guess we will do a few different ones so that I don't mess that up. Oh, low durability, those are always fun. You can do the same one. Well, too late. Hey, Shackman. Hope you're doing well. Well, good news is that you'll eventually get a little bit of respite from Garlemald. Eventually. Oh yeah, another thing that I think I skipped over. The reason why you want to have gold ratings when you do these tasks is because I'm not actually sure how much silver rating gives, but the reward listed on the mission is what you get if you complete it. Like, the bronze rating is the reward listed. Gold rating is 5 times reward. And is it 3 or 4, guys? Is it 4? Okay, so if you get a silver rating, you get 4 times the listed reward, and if you get gold rating, you get 5 times. So you really, really want to put in the time to get the gold rating. It's a lot more valuable than you think. Like, basically, you could take 5 times as long on the task to get the gold rating. Well, with crafters at least. A lot of the gathering ones are time limited, so you can't really take your time. Quite literally. But with the crafting ones with no time limit, if it takes you 5 times as long to do the task, you didn't lose anything. Oh, apparently I had a pour in the middle of my quality craft, so, but I never punished. Got the high quality roll with only 82% chance. Oh, we'll just do this one again to test the theory if I was uncertain. Yep, true, Dice Kid. Some craft ones are timed. The one that I found on Alchemy that I could automate was one called something with cafeteria. I can't remember the full name. But that one you have, like, I think, like 5 or 6 minutes. Maybe it's 7. So that is something you need to keep in mind. Don't get too distracted. And thank you so much for the super chat, Campfire King. Let me hit this rock with a hammer to make soup. I mean, I'm pretty sure earlier I helped Rust with a few melts by cooking their gear. So don't worry too much about it. Cafeteria goods is 4 minutes. Oh, for some reason I thought it was more, because, you know, I would just set it to go and I would start the second one with like 2 minutes left. And hey, Lone Wolf. That is the best you can do there, Lone Wolf, is if you have a crafter you're leveling at the same time, or, you know, using at the same time. Lunar broth. Losing the HQ roll on a 97% is the worst feeling. You know, that's the funny thing, is that most of the time when I've just automatically crafted something like this, I've been never punished. Meanwhile, when I need it to be good, like when it's a case where it's like I can just craft another one, it's fine. I never get punished. But when it's like, well, you just got 0 points because it didn't roll high enough on the collectability to count, that's when I get punished by poor rolls. Always. Ta-da! Now we have the first upgrade. So you see here, if you don't know how this works, is you talk with Researching Way here, and you report it, and then it's basically saying if you were using the tool, you probably weren't. They kind of suck at the lower level one, so you probably weren't using it. But if you were, they're not upgrading it, they're replacing it, as with so many other things. They are resetting it and giving you a new one. Just in case you were using it actively. Also, it does seem like this requirement for C-Class does require that you do different tasks after all. Whatever. Wait. I think the information is slightly different, but that is really close to the same one I set up before, isn't it? Close you. Over here. Oh boy, we have 2 different aquatic things. And also true, Daskita. I'm like, the thing is, it doesn't really matter. I think the was it C-Class stuff is still mostly like research level 1. So I'm not really losing out that much. Because I love the gif of Kai trying to cook like Final Fantasy XIV IRL. Oh yeah, it's not as easy in real life. You can also browse the crafts by name on Raphael. Can you do that? I felt like I couldn't do that. I felt I couldn't do that before. So I just used like a custom thing. And also just assumed that they might change. So I just assumed it would just be easy to do custom. But that's a good tip, tell them out. This has a search pop-up. Oh yeah, I saw. But I have to search for this, right? So Researchers Inc. Right. Fails as me watching all of my auto attacks direct crit while all of my big hits don't even direct hit. Yep. 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 Gunbreaker, Opener. Keen Edge, direct crit. Brutal Shell, direct crit. Solid Barrel, direct crit. No Mercy goes in. And then you're like going through the Gnashing Fang combo and you do the Lionheart combo and nothing's happening. And then right as No Mercy ends, you do an auto attack, stoom, and then that's also just a direct crit, because of course it is, right? Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Right, here we go. I feel like these are not made equal, huh? Right, let's try that then. And... oh yeah, there it is. I'll just override this one. I don't think I'll do the D ones anymore. when it is not custom, how do I say that I already have the high quality materials, presumably? Oh, I can just switch to custom after. Oh, there. It says none. Doesn't let me put anything in. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Fantastic. Probably. Did I miss out on a random unlucky, or is there something wrong with the macro? Oh, I know, Talima. I was setting up the next craft. I was setting up the step 2 while I was doing this. Saving time! Have you gotten your Starfleet, I mean Starcrew uniform yet? I have not. I have bought basically everything else, and it does look like something is wrong with this craft. Ain't that peculiar? Hey Selfie, hope you're doing well. And thank you so much. The Pictomancer thing is consumables. I don't think I've added any. That shouldn't matter. My stats are correct. Hammer is like the value of hammer is a little bit or rather the weakness of hammer is a little bit exaggerated. There is something wrong. Do you see it? I think I'll just use custom. That worked perfectly fine before. Basically, the long story short, Sail Feed, is that you no longer really want to use the hammer on cooldown. You don't really need that anymore. You can, but you don't need it anymore. It's still good for the burst. In fact, if you can set it up so that you go like hammer stamp and then you late weave Starry Muse, so you have the second 2 combo steps of the hammer in the burst, that's pretty nice. But it does confuse a few things. You can use hammer in the burst anyway. You can also use it on cooldown if you like, but it's not optimal. But on the odd minute hammer you get, as Fel said, you can kind of treat that one as a Black Mage's triple cast if you have it. Like if you have the hammer on hand, it's also good on AoE, right? Like there, it's actually fine. But the long story short is that people have been exaggerating how bad hammer is quite a bit. So don't worry too much about it. See, the thing is, guys, I don't forget food buffs. However, I see the problem now. When I switched the recipes to Culinarian, it was like, well, your stats are probably what I'd assume they'd be on your Culinarian, even though I just put in my stats manually for Alchemist. That's what I forgot. That's why there's something wrong. We found the culprit, guys. We found the problem. Well, we have to redo those, so let's just do this one. Why are there so many Archon loaves in this game? Now let's see if it's right. But yeah, the long story short, Sailfeed, is that the hammer thing is a little exaggerated. It's not as bad as people say they are. It's just that people have a tendency to go, oh, this thing is good, then a change happens, oh, this thing is not as good, and then people will hear, like, basically one feather becomes 3 chickens, if you know that one. Hammer is no longer used on cooldown, means that it is basically garbage. It's basically useless now, right? Like that's what it becomes, even though that's not quite how it works. It's a small damage loss to play Pictomancer exactly as how you did before 7.2. Which is, you know, how my guide explains it in the video. I do mention some things in the pinned comment, but I don't think I go so much in detail as to say how to make use of hammer now in express detail. But the long story short is you still want about 1 hammer every 2 minutes, unless you're like a turbo passer, like if you're like a super nerd, and that's meant jokingly. And lovingly. If you're trying to get the big pass, then you're basically trying to get lucky anyway. Like, you're specifically choosing what has the chance of doing the most damage, not necessarily what has the most consistently high damage, the one that has the highest possible damage, in which case you're not using hammer. But the non-passer style should still be using some hammer stamps in the burst itself. So I hope that helps clear that up. The thing is, the reason why I haven't haven't really looked into remaking the Pictomancer guide is exactly because I feel like there isn't enough that has changed. To warrant a new guide. What? Huh? There's 2 recipes. What? Huh? Why are there 2 recipes for this? But yeah, essentially, and they for different crafts. No, that's the weird part, Talabah. One of them was significantly harder to make. But they were both for Culinarian. I feel, just to be clear, when I said there are 2 recipes, I'm talking about I looked up the nutrient bar, and there were 2 nutrient bars in the solver. That was the thing that I was like, why are there 2? That Skid says they prefer crafting way. That's also an option. I like Raphael. I feel like that has been treating me well. Stephanie says, I swear I've seen as many as 4 recipes for a certain name in the solver for a single class. Yeah, well, I see, that's the thing, is that I haven't run into any of these problems because I initially just punched in the recipes in custom style because I assumed the recipes wouldn't be there. But you can fix this by just checking whether the recipe's progress and quality and durability matches what you're seeing in game. But yeah, there is something to be said also about the Pictomancer hammer thing. Like, while we're on the subject here for a second, that one thing is what is optimal, another thing is what is realistic. Yes, I know that most of the time you can say, well, you don't need the mobility option, that's just a skill issue, right? Just get good, and then you don't need it. Just plan better. But sometimes the potential, like, the you don't have to be perfect to even do the hardest content in the game. And if having the hammers on cooldown gives you the mobility you need to be able to do the fight, the damage loss of doing so is probably fine. Like, as I understand, it's a few % to use it on cooldown relative to not doing it. But the thing is, if you're not doing anything instead, like if you don't know how to plan out the mobility that you now lack because you're not using hammer on cooldown, then what are you gonna do? You're just doing nothing. That's going to look worse on the log than doing something that is suboptimal. Better to do something than nothing. As I've said. Construction paint. Oh, is this the one? Here it is. Cook the paint. Cook the paint. Cook the paint some more. Cook it some more. It's very, very, very cooked paint, as you can see. And then taste it. Ah, perfect. And then cook it some more. 10 out of 10 paint. But yeah, that is something that is that is sometimes forgotten in the optimization sometimes, is that technically the hammer stamp combo on Pictomancer is also a mobility option. So it not doing the most damage is not always relevant if your alternative is nothing, for instance. And you might be able to plan that so that you don't need it, but you also might not be. So, you know, it is worth pointing out that hammer is not so bad as to say that it is useless. It is bad in the same way, to some degree, as holy and white is bad. For those, I believe most people have heard the weird stories about how Pictomancer's Holy and White is a DPS loss to use for some weird reason, and it's the reason why it's confusing. Alright, Telemar, enjoy your evening, and good luck. I think, to go punch Hector. Hopefully not the guide-making Hector, he doesn't deserve that. But the reason why... Whoops, I didn't need to talk with you. The reason why Holy and White is considered a damage loss is because... Not because of Holy and White being bad, but because the combined efforts of Fire and Red, Air in Green, Water and Blue, Comet in Black, Blizzard in Cyan, Stone in Yellow, and Thunder in Magenta, like the whole shebang... The average potency of that whole story is better than Holy and White, so you'd rather do that. Which is also the reason why you'll sometimes see Pictomancers just go to town mashing Holy and White if a fight is finishing, because they'll go, well, I'm not getting another Comet in Black out of this, and then Holy and White is good. Hammer Stamp is the same. If you're not getting a Comet in Black, and you're not getting a Subtractive Palette, then Hammer is good. Like, that's how quote-unquote bad it is that it's actually okay, it's just that there are better options. That's the story. Hey Donkey, hope you're doing well. Says, is Summoner any good endgame? I like the job a lot. The job is viable. You will hear people say that it does so little damage that it heals the boss, but that's an enormous exaggeration. The job is fine, the job is good. It does less damage than the competition, as it were. But it's good, it does enough damage, it is good, it's a good job. So if you like to play it, play it. But just keep in mind that some people will be like, lol, Summoner bad. But it's fine, it has a res. Didn't know Summoner was that OP. Yeah, you just refuse to let the boss die. Let's see here. No time limit, let's do that one. Habitat dressing, fantastic. This is one of those where I actually need to finish it myself. It's just long enough that I have to do a groundwork at the end. And on the other one I have to do it twice. Am I still live? Okay, because YouTube Studio is completely balked right now and not loading. So that's fun and not scary at all, YouTube. YouTube? Will you help me, YouTube? Yeah, it is scaring me a bit. So what's happening is, I saw that the chat suddenly froze. And now YouTube Studio is not loading in for me. So I can't... I can see the chat because I have like a little blurb in the stream. I can see the overlay. But it doesn't let me get back. Oh boy. This has happened before, but usually it resolves itself within like a moment. This is a little annoying. So YouTube, will you finally load for me? It looked like it almost connected again, so that I could get back on YouTube, but it's doesn't really seem to want to work with me right now. It's a little hard to see the chat in the overlay alone. Okay, I might lose the connection, but I'm gonna try something. I think maybe my browser has gotten gorped up and can't deal. Oh, no, I got it! I'm coming in! I'm coming back. So it seems that what the problem was that YouTube got, like, it got a little bit... Welcome back, question mark? I'm just sitting in the room with all of you like, I'm going away, I'm disappearing, as I start to fade out, and then I'm just like, nothing happens. I'm like, I'm back! Welcome? I think? But because YouTube got in this, like, it had this stroke, I had, as probably surprises none of you, I had like 5 YouTube tabs open on another window for the clips. I closed that, and immediately YouTube started loading. It was like, oh, well, I was stuck on something over there. So now it works again. But now I have to, like, I have the links, but it's just a little bit annoying. I usually have them, like, ready on hand. Right. I feel like I was in the middle of something, and then everything broke. Also, yeah, Caesar, exactly. Job deals 1 to 2% less DPS than another option. Community, literally unplayable. Basically heals the boss. Blah, 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 blah. AMW says, is there a job that benefits from crit more than any other stat? All jobs? Basically all jobs. But also Monk benefits slightly more than all the other jobs because they sometimes gain extra resources from critting. And thank you for the super chat, Campfire King. The 7th Castral Calamity. But yeah, the important thing for anyone who's like, I want to play this job, is it any good in endgame? The short answer is all jobs are fine at max level and are capable of doing all content. However, there are a select few jobs that have a reputation problem combined with, as Caesar said, a community perception problem. The notable ones right now, I believe, are Summoner a little bit and Machinist quite a lot. In that, because the jobs they compete with, i.e. Summoner versus Red Mage, Black Mage, and Pictomancer, and Machinist versus Bard and Dancer, being better enough, people will look at those jobs and go, oh, no, they suck, even though they're fine. It also doesn't help that this kind of perception can make the job played less, and the players that are good at them will play it less as well, which, you know, compounds the effect that people that are actually playing the job are not maybe as many masters of the craft, which makes it look even worse, so on and so forth. But all jobs are viable and capable of doing all content in the game. The big place where you might have trouble is if you choose to complete the Savage Raid in Party Finder. There is the possibility, not as likely as you'd think, but there is the possibility that some groups will not want you because you're playing essentially the quote-unquote off-meta job, even though it's fine. And also that is a Metricon. Ironically, Machinist is crazy good in the defensive department because they have an additional damage reduction option that the other ranged physicals don't have. Instrument. What do you mean, Jacob? I feel like I'm missing something. Anyway, speaking of the fact that this is also clips, I'm sure there were, Phil. There's also been people that have been intentionally setting both of the melee DPS as Vipers for M6S. Like, people get desperate in the funniest ways, sometimes. But, let me just check my list of clips here. I have... So, the reason why I'm listing them is because I usually pick the clips from people that are actually in the stream, with very little exception, because, you know, it's more interesting if the person that posted the clip is actually there to experience it. And if you're like, well, where do I send a clip? If you join the Discord community server, Aerodel has posted it a few times already in the chat. There's also one in the description. There's one there. There's a clip reviews room where I grab the link, like grab the links and whatnot, and then I react to them here. But I usually grab them before the stream starts. So if you send a link today, I will not react to it today. But I have clips from Copper Sulfate, which I've already seen in the chat. I have a clip from Melo. I have a clip from Yannick. I have one from Tay, one from Randooming Nope. I have one from Gassel, and I have one from Cole. So let's start with that. I don't think that Black Mage will help much in Cosmic Exploration. What do you mean? Black Mage is super powerful in Cosmic Exploration. But yeah, the point that I was making about the whole like job exclusion thing is exactly that. You will find groups that will say no to the jobs that are considered weaker, even though the context in which they would be weaker is not there. Like, a particular example that I've used that I did actually hear and see back in Endwalker was in the second raid tier, right at the start of the tier, the final boss. The first phase, I believe, had a really tight DPS check, all things considered, which meant that certain jobs on week 1, like as in crafted gear and all that, had trouble doing enough damage. And I believe Machinist and Red Mage were like on the chopping block for that, meaning groups were excluding them. Now, understandable, some jobs might, like if it's too tightly, some jobs might just not have the damage, but groups were, you know, excluding them when the real problem was that people weren't doing the mechanics right. And more importantly, I heard a few stories here and there of people excluding these self-same jobs in the earlier bosses. As in, you go to Party Finder and you're told you can't play Red Mage on Proto-Carby because Red Mage isn't strong enough for P8. The same happened in the first raid here with Paladin, I believe. So sometimes Party Finder just loses its mind. Something worth keeping in mind. If you choose a job that is like a little bit quote-unquote off-meta, is that some people will exclude you for no reason. But it's a good job. Noah says, how hard is an extreme in comparison to a normal raid? I watched a guide on Recollection EX and I'm kind of overwhelmed. I'm not really sure how to prepare for it. It's definitely a huge step up. What you could do is, if it's possible, you could do some of the earlier extremes of the expansion. Like Valiamander. See how hard you find them. They should be a lot easier, relatively speaking, because of gear and whatnot. But that's still like mechanically intense relative to a normal raid or a normal trial. But it is a pretty big step up to go straight to Recollection if you've never done hard content before. And yes, that too, Asymmetricon. Party Finder will be like, well, in week 1, people were not using so-and-so job because they didn't do enough damage. Meanwhile, you're in, like, week 5. And it's not a problem. But they think it is. Because it's easier to blame that than go, maybe I'm just not mechanically good enough. Anyway, let's start with Copper Sulfate's clip. It has something to do with Shakuchi. In Dragon's Repris. Dragon Song Ultimate. DSR. Hey Baron, hope you're doing well. But yeah, no, I'm not saying that you have to run Valiamanda or Everkeep first. I'm just saying, if you feel like Recollection looks very overwhelming, you can try the earlier extremes and see if they are also overwhelming. You can also just say, I'll figure it out. Like, I'm not saying that you can't go straight to Recollection. I'm just saying if you feel a little bit overwhelmed. Wow. So let's see here. I believe this is where it snapshotted. Because that is the latest possible point it could have snapshotted where you still got hit. That is so sad. You know that there's something really gratuitous about the fact that you died, got a damage down, and got stunned all at once. Like, they really, really, really want to hammer home that you died. I imagine that's because maybe a tank would invuln it. You know, the classic. I think we've seen that. Whoops. On when we did M4S, I think Ham tried to invuln some random things. And discover that, oh, that gives the damage down. Lone Wolf says week 5, try week 20. I swear I saw a group banning machinist there. Well, yeah, exactly. The thing is, and this is something that I learned, or at least I learned in hindsight if I didn't learn it at the time, but I learned from playing League of Legends, is that, you know what's a lot easier than recognizing your own mistakes? It's a lot easier to blame your party, like your whole team, that they're the idiots, and just report someone. That's way easier than going, oh, I mean, I could probably have done something. Like, I could probably have done this thing or that thing better. A lot easier to just say, no, it was my party that was bad. I haven't played League of Legends in over a decade. Game's old. Also that, Deskid. Of course, you have to insult the person before you report them as well. Oh, look! And a red alert. Yep, exactly, James. And I'm just saying, I'm saying that despite sometimes it can be, yeah, actually it was that guy who was feeding a little bit more that is actually to blame. But if you just step away from the match and go, I was perfect, then you got nothing out of it. Just a loss is what you got out of it. Whereas if you go, well, what could I have done to make this better? Like, is there anything I could have done to improve the end result I got? Like, could I have prevented that in any way? Just before everything went sideways, could I maybe had played better in my lane or whatever? Like, what could you do before things went bad? Like, there's still something to review, even though the group went, like, even though the match went completely sideways, and that also applies in a raid context. Just because you wiped doesn't mean that you played perfectly. Doesn't mean that there isn't anything you can learn from it. Welcome to every conflict in human history. Thank you for the super chat, Campfire King. Says, who was your league main? Mine is Veigar. Oh, he's fun. At one point, my main was Kennen. At another point, it was Nasus. And at another point, it was Vladimir. I also played Singed a bit. I prevented that flash as the ninja getting snatched. Well, I didn't mean it like that. I just realized that I needed to close the window. And thank you so much, James. And welcome to the game. And yeah, jobs like Samurai that start at 50 can be quite overwhelming. Quite overwhelming. Kennen in season 4 was a lot of fun. I feel like I played Kennen before season 1. If that's any indication. As in, I played Kennen a lot before Zenjiao existed. I also played Zenjiao briefly back when he was completely busted on release, where he could 1v5 and win with just the Trinity Force. Hey, Bokaj and Viek. Hope you're doing well. Sometimes you just take the L and wipe to the other players. That's also true, Perrin. Then it's still busted. I'm just saying, if you didn't experience Zenjiao when he was new, then you have no idea. You have no idea how busted he was. Like, I'm not joking he would 1v5 with one completed item. That's not an exaggeration. Not as in, he hard counters a lot of characters. It's like, you see one Zenjiao and you're scared of a team fight. Because he doesn't need his team. That's still a thing? That is actually shocking. Right. More clip. I think Milo's here, right? We could just take that next on the list. Oh look, I'm on this picture. I'm assuming you are here, right, Milo? Me over here dual-wielding cops. Oh yeah, true, the red alert is coming in a moment, so maybe we should do that first. That is a fantastic point. No! No culinarian. Oh. Let's do mining. So, red alerts have a tendency to be extremely easy. The thing you have to keep in mind is where you have to go. So that you don't waste time going to the wrong place. Not that you need it. You have 20 minutes. Also, that Smileton theme. For red alert, are you just supposed to spam it for 20 minutes? You don't have to. But you can. If what you're after is what they give, then yes. I'll show you what they give. XP loss just be there already. So they give, I've been told they give a ton of XP if you're not max level. But what they also give is quite a lot of lunar credits. They also give a lot, like they give a little bit of various research XP. So if you, like, for instance, one thing that I found particularly handy was, like, if you're having trouble with level 4 research on crafters, which might actually be a problem, you can do this. It's not nearly as time efficient, I would say, because, like, it actually takes a while. But if it's the only, like, if you're having trouble otherwise, go for it, right? Wonder why they don't give Cosmic 3? That is a good question, Lana. And also, hey, Agni, hope you're doing well. But yeah, I think the thing that they're most effective for is lunar credits. So if you want to roll on that, go for it. They give a lot of job points. The job points are this, right? Which is a lot of work. I believe there's an achievement for, is it 50k or 500k? $500k on all of them. Oh yeah, that's where you get the black version of the mount, right? But yeah, it's like, it's quite easy points, regardless of what you're doing. Like, you can see here with a gatherer, I easily max this one out and have, like, GP to spare to just go again immediately. VXS, does this get harder if I don't do it now? Do I benefit from others doing it? I mean, these progress bars might be harder to fill, but not really, no, I don't think so. Like, it would only massively, like, drastically change how difficult it is if it reaches a point where you can no longer finish it. Which I think is unlikely. It'll probably adjust as time passes. So I don't think you have to. There's also another part, Viek, that as the place gets upgraded, you'll get conveniences that might actually make things easier if you wait. So, if you're not in a hurry to get the things, it might actually be a big win for you to just wait. Like, if you're not in a hurry. And also thank you for the super chat, Campfire King. Kaiton Ramsey when no culinarian. That's it, I'm getting the mallet. And see here, it completed this task. But there's nothing preventing me from just continuing to spam it. And just keep going. But I don't know if it's like... I haven't seen one of the bars not getting filled. But I would guess that you get less reward if the time runs out and one of them hasn't been finished. That's a guess. But that, I hope that isn't the hand-in thing for this task, Rust, because the hand-in for that one is down there. For some reason, it's so far away. Kaiton Ramsey. That is actually I would say that is the most annoying thing about the red alerts, is that randomly the particular craft or gatherer you're working on just isn't on the list. And then you're just like, well, you can't do anything. Like, there's nothing you can do. You just have to do, like, either not participate or do something else. Which, you know, fair. You just use a different one, but it's still annoying that you could... Like, in a way, you could just happen to be lucky that you chose the correct thing to work on. You know what I mean? eggs! I've already completed that one. Do I have this? Oh no, I did this one randomly. Dude. I did this one like one of the first days, I think. What's the orchestrion for this theme? Carrots of Happiness. Oh, I wasn't sure. I was going to assume it would sound something similar to the Smileton one. Alright, Gazel, enjoy your evening. Sorry we didn't get to your clip yet. I just realized what the time is. Gazel has a clip. And Gazel said it was okay that we check it out without him. It's pretty funny. Or, I assume that it is pretty funny. I haven't seen it, but I've seen the cliff notes of what it's going to be. I feel like the crafting ones take way longer than the gathering ones in these red alerts. Is that just me? Or is it me doing something wrong? Like, as I understand, I think you get 100 score for just finishing the item, so you'd have to make 9 of them. But if you get the high quality one, you get 300, so you can make 3 high quality ones. And I'm like, is it faster to just turbo craft 9 of them? Thoughts? Yeah, I don't know. I imagine it obviously comes down to how quickly you can high quality it, right? Like, looking at this, I am pretty sure that I could go muscle memory, waste not, veneration, and just groundwork 3 times. Done. But is that faster than, like, doing all of that 3 times? Is that faster than this macro, which takes, let's see, 3, 5, 7, 10, 16, 19... 24, 26, 35 seconds. 3 times groundwork is already like 9 seconds or so, if you're macroing it. And then there's also muscle, veneration, and waste knot. So yeah, it's faster to just use a macro, it seems. But yeah, from my equipment, it looks like it would take, well, I guess it would be 2 groundworks because the muscle memory, and then groundwork would probably do it with the veneration. But that would be 3 plus 2 like short steps. That would definitely be more than 35 seconds if you have to do it 3 times. And also true, Viek. That is what I would do. That is actually what I do with certain other tasks. Is that like if normal quality is good enough, I might just do that. So like do it quickly. And I think that's also what I did when I did this task the first time, is that I just spam crafted 9 really quickly, because that's way easier than planning out getting the high quality. And that also matters when the task doesn't require that you high quality it. That's just entirely optional. Where other tasks is like you need over a certain amount of quality or collectability just for it to count. I understand from really close friend of mine, Phil, that there is a super boss or something in the game, in that Expedition 33 game, because they've been having trouble with it. Something like that. I think we'll hand this one in, and then we'll probably go back to base and do some clips again. Jacob says when the AFK as Red Alert came. Well, I mean, you still made it. You can still get credit. Ding. Collection point. Doink. Back to the office. Oh, whoops, let me just fix that. Let's hang out over here. And then I will be right back, and then we do some more clips. In the meantime, sanity restored. Alright, I'm back. I think we'll do some spins after the next clip. Just because it's funny. And then we can see me get, like, I don't know, 4 times prisms. But then we can see Milo's clip. Which is, let's see, warrior POV of our first clear in M5S. So, some of you saw my POV, which is the black mage there, but you may not have seen the tank POV. I haven't seen the melee POV at all, so... Oh, that's what you meant, Daskid. I was sure that they gave 100 for normal quality, but yeah, if they only give 70, then it's not even close. 4 of them is too long. Melee spotlights are fun. I'm glad that I don't have to deal with that. Let me just do this at the very least, so we don't have double music. Double music! And the big ready check. And see, I played warrior in the last raid tier. So that is also fun to see.
Are you ready to get down? Are you ready to get down?
I don't think you needed to wait that, like, almost extra second. I don't think you had to wait that extra second with Tomahawk, but maybe that was just a, like, brain fart.
Can you keep up with the rhythm?
Oh, look, light parties. Ah, okay, fair enough, Milo.
Dancing Green is pulling out all the
Yeah, I think, like, I often would just send it when it hits 1, because by the time I actually click it, it's been, like, at 0.8.
moving, baby.
You know what's strangely concerning for me is that the exact amount of fade you've put on your party looks like the amount of fade that players usually have when they're out of range. So for some reason, it looks like everyone's too far away from you. Opener looked a bit funky. Well, let's take it one more time.
Are you ready to get down? The Upstarts Cruiserweight campaign begins.
I mean, the order there doesn't really matter. So I think that's fine.
Dancing Green is pulling out all the stops with each step.
But yeah, I believe the recommended optimal opener is, or the recommended opener has Primal Rend before the Fell Cleaves, but it doesn't really matter as long as it all goes in the buffs.
Bask in the spotlight and burn, baby, burn! An invitation to dance. How will the challenger respond?
And yeah, that's also understandable, Milo. That is definitely the kind of reasoning that would lead you to go, nah, I'm not risking that. You know, I thought it would look a lot harder to see where the spotlights go there, but that looked reasonably manageable. But I imagine that's also a bit of a case of, yeah, it looks really easy when you see it done right. Right? There was a little GCD clip there, but it's probably fine. And yeah, that is true, Vjek. Milo plays on PlayStation. Stephanie says, I don't want to shock anyone, but my cosmic spin sucked. What? No! Really? Hey, Jojo! Hope you're doing well. Nice.
It's like there's no tomorrow.
Oh yeah, this was the pull where we were like, someone's out of position on the second. I do remember that. That's quite funny. We're 3 here, that's weird.
Let's finish with style.
And we all got perfect groove on this one. And we have the light parties later.
On the dance floor, everyone's a star.
Oh, that is rough. I mean, this is like pretty minor details, but because the spread marker happened there, sorry, just a second. Because the spread marker was resolved at this point, there's nothing preventing you from stepping over to Shack and get one more GZD in before you step away. You could just step over there. And then step over there. Although, by that point, Dancing Green is in position, you can just stand in the tunnel. But that is like really small stuff.
Come on, show me your moves.
It might be a too quick of a move, that is true, but it was just like noticed that could be something. Meanwhile, me putting down ley lines, and then, oh right, the tank buster. No one noticed the ley lines moving.
Back to it, dancers.
Oh yeah, to be clear, Perrin, what I meant was more the spirits had resolved, so Milo could move one block to the left. What do tanks get for standing in ley lines? Extra AoEs, another tank buster? They get to laugh at the black mage. That's what they really get. The black mage like, oh man, if only I could stand in my ley lines, but you're resolving your tank buster over there. And that is something I've talked about a long time ago, was in the context of WoW raiding, where a friend was like, quote unquote, a little too helpful, where like a specific mechanic that we had to deal with in a specific way, he was like, well, I can invuln it. So if I get it, I'll just invuln it. But the problem was that it was like, if it was not him that got it, then it was like all hands on deck. So every time it happened on him, he would be like, no, 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 I'll take it alone. And then everyone had to like just jump out of the way, which just made it awkward instead of helpful, where like we just had to go, no, man, you just you just don't do it. Like just save your invuln for something else. Where even though you could do something, doesn't matter. And what I'm talking about with this is that I put down my ley lines there because that was a convenient time to use it, and technically the tanks could just, you know, part like the seas and just take the tank busters around me so I could stay put, but it's just easier for me to move out of the way. Which is why I just go, well, I shouldn't have put my ley lines there. And then I move. Instead of trying to resolve that in some other way.
Not bad, but I reckon you've got more in you.
Was that the second death? I think so.
You're up, dancers.
Major clip there?
Not bad, but I reckon you've got more in you.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, in that moment it would probably have been better to just drift upheaval, but that's I imagine Melo was looking somewhere else at that time. You can't hear the voiceover here in this clip, but I do believe on that specific mechanic, it's usually Melo and Ham who's trying to figure out what cardinal direction the safe spot is in. So Melo might have been like, well, upheaval is coming up here, and, you know, like looking somewhere else and just be like, why is the attack not happening? And then it happened, and then just continue the rotation. Because I've done that too. Like, I just assume the rotation is that it usually is, and then maybe it isn't. And then you just have to deal. Just use mana ward. No, I'm a squishy, fragile mage. That's why I wear a big hat. To protect me against rain. Ooh, the spreads. Wouldn't a hard hat or something be better for that? Well, not for rain. Wait, wasn't that pairs? What? That was lucky. An LB2. Oh, it looks like there was a bunch of resources that overcapped there a little bit.
That was one hell of a party! Let's do it again sometime!
Nice. Just saying, it as someone who's also played a bunch of warrior, it it's just really awkward when you're like, all right, everyone, give it everything you have anyway. So let's see what the warrior can bring. Oh, inner release is already spent. No more infuriates. I'm dry on beast gauge. Well, the remainder of this fight is going to lead to one big helping of Storm's Path, I guess. Like it's really something when you're like, that's all you have left. Like straight up just a filler combo. Have the warrior provoke and use vengeance? I think he stopped auto attacking at that point, but otherwise that could have worked. Right. Time to have a discussion with Scamming Way. This one. Yep. Yeah, give me the delineation, I guess. No, of course. I had already resigned to getting a delineation, and then the game was like, no. You don't get to be right. Wait, can I not open my inventory while this is happening? I can through this menu, but my hotkeys are blocked. I'd rather want this. Because I don't have the minion. Oh yeah, the materia is better, Sally. That's more helpful. This close to success. But I had already resigned to getting the worst thing, and then it was like, nah. Now that you've said it, what is that? What is that? Why? You want a 50-50 on things you probably don't want? No, it's fine. Here, have cordials anyway. You thought it was a choice. It wasn't really. And, yes, of course, prisms. So anyways, I got 1 materia, 20 prisms, and 10 cordials that I didn't need. Fantastic. A bit, Sally? Earlier in the stream, I had a sudden issue where basically YouTube completely locked up, and it was locked until I closed all the YouTube tabs I had opened. And I had multiple because, you know, clip review and that. Isn't verdant partition... Are verdant partitions not super expensive? I'm pretty sure the verdant partitions are really valuable. Are they not? Or do I remember that wrong? I'm pretty sure the verdant ones, they were before Cosmic Exploration. Right. Wow. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for the super chat, Gamebug King. POV Corporate is thanking you for working 79 hours a day for the past month. Ah, yes. The classic pizza party, as it were. But that is really, really funny. That is really funny. Yeah, they were expensive. They were is perfectly placed, because that is also something that I've mentioned before, is that like the way you can really see it is you can tell which items are the pack fillers on the scamming way. There is I'm not sure what the price on Neon Pink is now, but at least like in the first few days, Metallic Pink was like 13k. Meanwhile, Neon Pink was like 80 plus on Louisoix. You could really tell the difference between the one that people got where they were like, well, I guess it's better than nothing, and the ones where people actually paid to have it. Because the Neon Pink does not come from a random chance, it is bought deliberately, whereas the Metallic Pink is acquired randomly. So there's a lot of it going around that people, like, didn't ask for, as you could say. Verdant partitions have also been part of the mock tome, so they fluctuate. That is true. I do remember some people bought a bunch of them to sell later. People know you're on Louisoix, that's why pink is more expensive. You see, the funny thing is, people might have thought that cherry pink dye's price was something that I had control over, or that I influenced. But the funny thing is, the vast majority of cherry pink dye that I've acquired on my own in some way or another. And basically all of this is from my island. I just, like, produced it myself and didn't really sell any. I've sold a very small amount of cherry pink dye. So the price on Louisoix should be like, it might be affected by people buying it or selling it in relation to my existence, but it's not me. It's not me. That is cherry pink, by the way. That is a lot cheaper than neon pink. But I do have some of that, thanks to Angel. Right, let me just reference the clips. I still have clips from Yannick, Tay, Randoming, Nope, Gassel, and Cole. In case you're in the chat. At least you don't need the dye super often. I mean, I think I could easily spend like 40 or 50 neon pink dye like that. But I'm holding on to it because I don't have a lot of it. But I could easily just splurge. Because I have, you know... This outfit needs updating. This outfit needs updating. This outfit needs updating. I don't use this one anymore. Or that one. This one needs updating. This one needs updating. This one has been updated. You can actually... Can you see? This is like the only difference between the healer and caster is the white parts there. The pink should be the same if they were the same type of pink. It's quite telling when they're put next to each other like that, isn't it? Like this is in like the faded flashback. This is how it actually looks. This one needs to be updated. This one needs to be updated. I don't really use this one. Or this one. Or this one. This one needs to be updated. And this one needs to be updated. Exactly, Naomi. It kind of looks pale. Put next to neon, right? It's just BAM! It really, really stands out. Right. Doesn't seem like there's anyone else that had posted clips that are in the chat. So maybe we'll do some crafting again. Back on track with it. What is this? Hello? I feel like I'm being scammed. Well, kind of have to do this one for the prog. We must paint your scales pink. I have seen ages ago I think it was a mod. Guess it was a mod. It kind of gives itself away. That did exactly that. And a friend showed it to me. And it just looked wrong. It just looked wrong. It was too much pink. Somehow. It would be like, imagine if my character had pink scales and also pink hair. And all the details were pink. Like, there is a limit. The details that are not pink does help. You know what I mean? Also that Campfire King. You know. Mods are technically against TOS, so use at your own risk. Exactly, Ceros. That needs to be some contrast. That's also why you'll see that in many of the cases where I have, like, item slots or gear pieces with multiple die slots, I put white or black in the other slot instead of just going, oops, all pink. Because it looks a little better when it's not all pink. At least we're making scrambled eggs now instead of paint. Finally, something for my pan with ears. Look at that. My pan has ears. It's like a Spriggan pan. The game, like, yes, it is. Correct. Finally, you read the name of the item you've been using. I feel like this one gives 3 or 4. 3, I imagine. Which is why it's so scammy. So, is there something weirdly concerning about an item being called stable ration? You know what I mean? It's like if I was like handing you like an apple and being like, this is a non-explosive apple, enjoy. You'd probably be like, why are you adding that detail? Like, surely it would be non-explosive. And like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not an explosive apple. Stable ration. I imagine that's perfectly normal in everyday speech to call it something like that. But yeah, exactly. With these bunnies, at least, a stable ration does give that implication of what is an unstable ration then. Sounds like YouTube is really being weird today, Aridel. Unstable ration is actually made of glass. Really adds to the crunch. Hey Dialga, hope you're doing well. Unless it's stable like for horses. Ah, right. Stable rations. Normally I'd assume shelf stable, but I just can't assume that with Loporits. Yeah, exactly. Which also, I think I mentioned, I can't remember if I said this on stream, but leads me back to the point about how, like, with one of the base upgrades where people just ran around replacing batteries like crazy for machines that didn't really look to do much, where, like, it came back to, well, have you considered that the Loporits generally use creation magic? Do they need to have people make all those things? Which then leads to the suggestion that maybe they just have people run in circles and do all those tasks because they're like, well, that's how you expand a base, right? People run around doing crazy stuff for a while and then suddenly upgrade happens. So they just have the players run around until they feel like they've ran around enough, and then they just creation magic. Oh, look! Base is better now! Like, all those things that we do, the reason why we have to repeat them so much is because they actually are meaningless. The Loporits don't actually know what needs to be done. They're just like, do stuff, I guess. Thank you for the super chat, Campfire King. Glass is obviously edible. Potion bottles vanish. Oh, isn't that a Viva La Dirt League thing? I don't know what to do with this healing potion now that I've drank it. Eat it. I believe that Bogart would believe that potion bottles are just dropped and get destroyed in battle afterwards. Just a battlefield in Final Fantasy XIV is just glass shards everywhere. Actually, maybe you should make the bottles plastic or something, so that they hold better together, so you can more easily trip over them 300 times. Hey Yannick, hope you're doing well. Oh, you have a clip. Fantastic. I don't think healing magic would hold in plastic bottles since it's such an unnatural material. Well, who knows if that's what makes the healing magic work. Who knows? Maybe the unnaturalness will preserve more of the magic healing powers of the fluid, because it doesn't like connect with the glass. Doink. Hey! Hello. I want a better pan. Thank you. I believe this is the one that I want to do once I can get level 4 research. Oh, we're still only on level 2 research. That was why I was like, wait, are there no level 3s? Nope. Well, I guess we're doing this. Hey cat, hope you're doing well. The damage from consuming glass is automatically subtracted from the amount healed. Because I don't know if crude oil exists in Eorzea. Okay, that is a better question. Is unrefined ceruleum actually crude oil? Fantasy crude oil. Let me see. Does this one? We're doing this craft, and then, like, I might as well load up this so that we have Yannick's clip ready to go. I heard oil. The sound of a bald eagle in the distance. That's why Shaloni is actually just Texas. Yeah, I was thinking of taking your clip in a moment, Yannick. I was just earlier talking about that there was no one with clips in the chat, so just wait a bit and do some crafting. Because we did do clips, and we went to do clips, and then YouTube had an aneurysm, and then we got to clips, and then there was a red alert, and then we got to clips again. So we've been going a little bit back and forth. But if you're here, then here we are. Monk on floor 150 in Palace of the Dead. I believe, based on what Yannick has mentioned himself, that Monk is good damage, but Monk is like the meleeist of the melee jobs. So I could imagine that some of these fights are really annoying, because you kind of have to be the most honest fighter in the arena. Just go straight. I guess you could do something weird with Howling Fist if it's really scary to get close, but I feel like solo it would waste too much time. Because just soloing Palace of the Dead on a melee seems like the worst choice? Not necessarily. Apparently, Bloodbath is surprisingly effective, so it's not too bad. But Monk might be a little rough, is my guess. But they do have Masterful Blitz. Yannick mentioned the sound was off because blasting music, which is understandable. If I was doing Palace of the Dead solo off stream, I would definitely be watching something on another monitor or listening to music. Maybe even both. Oh, you even came in swinging with a tornado cake loaded. The worst choice is Astrologian? Yeah. The trick that I've been taught about the zombies is technically you can just run away from them. So like ranged jobs have a really nice time with that. They can just ignore the zombies and step away from them. But this Has Palace of the Dead been cleared solo on every job? Palace of the Dead has been soloed on every class that is a combat class. Which does mean, yes, Palace of the Dead has been soloed on Thaumaturge before the rework. Thank you for the super chat, Campfire King. They should let us bring blue into Palace of the Dead. I've mused that idea, like I've thought about that idea before, that it would be really awesome if they, like, made some system for Blue Mage, specifically in Deep Dungeons, where, like, they have to collect their spells. You know, now hearing the sound of crafting while watching this reminds me of someone who mentioned earlier that it was quite a funny vision to see and hear dancing green while crafting is happening in the background, which is pretty humorous now that I think about it. And thank you, Aradil. But yeah, basically, all allowed jobs and classes have completed Palace of the Dead solo. Now, that doesn't mean that it's smart to do that. I'm reasonably confident that it would be a terrible idea to choose to do Palace of the Dead on something like Thaumaturge, unless it was for the sake of doing it on Thaumaturge specifically. But I believe before the Black Mage rework of 7.2, I believe the story went that it was like, which job is the worst at Palace of the Dead? I think it was like between Astrologian and Black Mage. Not 100% sure on that, but I think that was how it worked. But now I don't think, like, granted, Astrologian had the harder time, but I'm pretty sure now it's not even close. So one thing that Yannick mentioned before posting, or on the post of the clip, was that whenever the boss gets to eat the other succubus, it heals her for like 12% of her HP, I think. Just hop back to here. Yeah, something like that. So if it takes you more effort, 12%. If it takes you more effort to kill that succubus than to just do 10% of the boss's HP, then there's no need to do it. Cat says, I know a lot of tier lists have Astrologian tier at the bottom. Yannick says, so this on tanks could make a 15-minute fight into a 12-minute fight? 12-minute? By not needing to... By cleaving the succubus or by killing it? I guess. But that is well done, by the way, with the running around the zombies. What happens if the zombies get you? Do they just hit you, or does something happen? Because I've never let them get to me. Do they, like, bind you if they get close enough? Ooh. 9 is good. What? Oh, yeah. This was something that I was looking for while leveling Alchemist here, and it never popped up. So I was like, well, guess there isn't one, and it took way too long for me to realize that, and then I had to do something else for level 4 experience. But I saw this one pop up very often. It never occurred to me that it would show up equally on Botanist and Culinarian, but it does make perfect sense that it would. So if you have one, if you're leveling one of the crafters, or, you know, progressing one of the crafters that has one of these, like, teamwork tasks with Botanist or Miner, then, like, this is a pretty good way to, like, get level 4 research for the Gatherer. So this is basically, like, free double time. You just need to, like, unlock level 4 research on both of them for it to actually work. way, YouTube. Are you serious? You are serious. My studio thing froze again. Second time. They just hold you in place. See, that was what I expected would happen, Ocni, but I was wondering. It was quite impressive that Yannick didn't get hit even once then. That is an interesting question, Stephanie. I guess we have no idea of knowing, but I guess a question to ask then is, because I have never done crafter or gatherer relics in the past. Is the first step of the other crafter gatherer relics in the past, is the first step like weirdly long and then the later steps are shorter? Or are they usually reasonably equal? Or is this like an outlier? Like, is this unusual? Because that's the best we have to go on, Stephanie. I could see justification for the later areas to be a little less intense than the first one. With the justification being that in the first area, part of the reason, part of the justification for you having a ton of things to do is that there's a lot of things to collect and do. And the thing is, unless they just load up the area with a huge amount of things to do, or rather to collect, then these following areas will just not have the same justification, if that makes any sense. It's like, for instance, and there's no relation here actually, but in the first season of Crystalline Conflict back in Endwalker, everyone could use a mind-boggling amount of trophy crystals to buy all the new things. Nowadays, not so much. Which possibly, not saying it did, but I'm saying there's a possibility that it impacted the interest in Crystalline Conflict and Frontline in general, that, you know, people didn't need the trophy crystals anymore. And this would probably happen here as well, is that unless the extra planets come with a ton of new Cosmo credit and Lunar credit things to get, they don't, players have no reason to come back for it unless they're Gatherer Crafter hardcore players that want to finish those relics. So who knows? The Endwalker axe, and it was pretty much the same two missions every patch, but that had no zones attached to it. That is pretty funny, considering Endwalker for combat jobs was also pretty simple. But I imagine that it would indeed be a case of it going up a few item levels. But I couldn't say for certain. couldn't say for certain. But yeah, if the zombies in that fight just hold you in place, then naturally, as long as they haven't grabbed you yet, you have no reason to care. It becomes a huge problem if you get grabbed right as the boss is about to do an AoE or something, though. But I also say it was surprisingly lenient. It felt like a lot of times Yannick was so close that it was like pixel perfect dodging of being too close. Is 6 the best we can do on these easier ones? It does appear to be the case. Another nutrient bar! I have a feeling that there's going to be enough of a name overlap that it's going to become a problem at some point. Yeah, I don't know, Stephanie. I don't know if that's good or bad, to be perfectly honest. Boja had 2 zones, and then other stuff. Meanwhile, I believe Eureka had like 4? Was it 4? So, like, hard to say whether that's a, like, plus or minus on the quality. Hey, Zilibus, hope you're doing well. This moon stuff is from, like, last week, but you can access it if you've completed the leveling story of Endwalker, as it turns out. So, progression-wise, Endwalker. Time-wise, last week. And I'm also doing well, thank you. Although YouTube is being a little weird tonight. A little weird. That is going to be pretty curious, Aradel. If the progression on the upgrade tree has to do with the ship making, would that mean that if certain servers haven't progressed enough, would we just have to wait? Hey, Afi, and Gleaming, hope you're doing well. Gleaming says, I need a crafter level to do this though, right? Some of the tasks, yes. Not all of them. I believe most of them, like you can see here, there are level restrictions. So you can technically level here if you want to. Yeah, I guess we just do this one again then. More chocolate bars. Chocolate bars. Chocolate bars. But yes, you do need level 10 crafters or gatherers to participate. And you may run into some trouble with gear, because your tasks do sync with your level. So as you level up, the distance between your gear and your level will be a pretty important factor. I think we might reach the point where we can at least see level 3 research. That'll be the target. Hey Bing Bong, hope you're doing well. Hey. Never punished. 78% chance, and it still goes through. I'm pretty sure that all of my chances here tonight has added up to over 100% in the negative. I should have failed a roll by now. But the trick, as you all know, is if you stream it, then you get streamer luck, and when you get streamer luck, then you're just way luckier than usual. Also, I have seen you in the chat earlier. I don't know why I keep missing you, RA, but I hope you're doing well as well. Oh, there's one with 7! Fantastic! Lubricant! Yes. Standard lubricant. Mild sanity loss from working on a third tool. Oh yeah, last night I finished both my second and third tool and got to bed way too late because I kept being like, it's probably done soon. Just 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. I'm almost there. And then it's like 3:15 in the morning. Oh right, I have to finish it myself with groundwork. Also, again, never punished. Red alerts guaranteed to go off when you're ready for bed? Yeah, pretty much. Hey Silvermint, hope you're doing well. Caetsu sleep is optional, Chaiji. Well, I did get up late as well as a result, so double lose on my end. Something really funny that I ran into while doing that power grind was that, like, while this can be really good, there's a specific combination of things that can cause problems. Because sometimes the macros that are produced will use something like Prudent Touch, which cannot be used if Waste Not is active. And sometimes the Material Miracle will give a condition that makes the next, like, your next action last 2 more moves or steps. Which means that Waste Not will, if it happens to align with that perfectly, will last 2 more moves, and what the macro will do is that it'll just be unable to use Prudent Touch, and will just, like, fail and fail. And then, like, the quality will be way lower than it should be, which is the reason why I'm just not using it. Just to be on the safe side. If I don't need it, I'm not gonna use it. And Malleable might complete the progress too early. Oh, that too, JK. That too. I hope you're doing well, by the way. But yeah, exactly. Although it works out. It works out if the particular craft you're making happens to start with the quality, like, all in on the quality. It might work out. But it's like, it looks like a good idea, and then you use it, and then, like, I had, like, multiple cases was like, why is my macro not consistent? And then one time I was looking as I got the extended Waste Knot, and it was like, can't use that, can't use that, can't use that. And then it just moved on without having finished the quality. And then I stopped using the extra button. Boing. But that is a big oof on my end. I actually combined alchemy with botany when leveling them together, because I was like, I was convinced that because I had already done, yeah, exactly, Effie, Waste Not and Prudent Touch specifically. And I was convinced that if a specific gatherer, if botany would have one of those like combo tasks where you gather the thing and then craft it, it would be with alchemy. Weirdly not, apparently, as I learned. But it did have one for culinarian. If I had known what I know now, I would be sitting here making alchemy now. Ross says I got normal with HQ 94% during Red Alert. Yep, fantastic. I wonder if it has one for, I don't know, carpenter. Yeah, exactly. It's so weird. I'm guessing that the alchemy one has one with fishing or something? Maybe Aradil knows? I know Aradil has done fishing. Or does fishing even have those tasks? We have to gather a thing and then craft with it? And there's a blacksmith and fishing one? And there is a fishing and alchemy one. Why? It makes way better sense that there would be a fishing and culinarian one and a botany and a botany and fishing one. Why? What? What is that? Why? Like, I feel like I made the correct judgment call of, well, obviously you fish up the fish and then you cook them. And then the game's like, nope, you use the fish for alchemy. I got memed by the game. Oh, that is a good one. A little bit of everything. What is alchemy if not magic cooking? Indeed. Oh, that's true, Rust. I'm just saying, fishing for alchemy should be, there's fishing for alchemy and also fishing for cooking. Just like there should really be botany alchemy, I feel like. 99% of fish cannot be cooked. Fair point. That's actually also a good one, Avi. Miner and carpenter, but not botany and carpenter. Just absolute chaos up in here. Right. I know that I have at least one more clip because Gazel said that it was fine that we checked their clip. Now let's hope YouTube doesn't give out on me again. Or get weird with it. So there's a few notes on this one. First of all, you may notice that there's something weird with the group in Juno, which is the first alliance raid of Dawntrail. We have oops all tanks. I don't think they have enough tanks. Yeah, I know, right? So this Alliance C has 1 Dark Knight, 2 Warriors, 1 Gunbreaker, and 4 Paladins. One of them doesn't even have tank stance on yet. Alliance A has 4 Paladins, 2 Gunbreakers, 1 Dark Knight, 1 Warrior. And B has 3 Paladins, 4 Warriors, and a Gunbreaker. I feel like they could have evened this out a bit more. I also feel like Dark Knight is heavily underrepresented. What's going on with that? I don't think they have enough tanks. There are a few highlights, and you know, the thing that is most concerning to me about those highlights is that the last highlight is at 22 minutes. And it's a 40-minute video. So what happens? for that to be the case. And yeah, there's no sound, by the way. But that is perhaps also good, because this is going double speed. That's why she's going a bit fast with her wait for it. She doesn't want to wait that long. The tank stack and everyone just goes in and like 3 random players just get smacked. I mean, the damage is actually pretty good here, isn't it? The damage is looking pretty fine. Oh, 2 dead. That's going to be a problem. No one that can res. So according to the highlights, there's basically nothing of note until 20 minutes. So I think we're watching this and then maybe hop to the bosses to see what's going on. But the HP on Preesh here looks normal to me. Like, she's going down at the normal pace. I mean, gear upgrades and all that, so that's probably why, but still, with not a single DPS, and there's even like 2 tanks that are just out. You know, this is actually the kind of reasons why I remember back in Endwalker, there was this one time where I did a dailies Hangout stream where we went all healers. Or rather, like, I went with the intent of playing just healers. So the stream was called Oops, All Healers. But my parties also decided to go all healers. You know, go with the meme. And we didn't finish all of the roulettes before people were like, actually, it's kinda boring to do this. Like, we didn't actually finish doing all of the roulettes before it was like, maybe we should just stop. Because the thing is, it wasn't like, it wasn't harder. It was just things took way longer. The points where it was the most interesting was, of course, when you had to be careful with who got hit by the tank buster, but for the most part, you just have everyone put shields on the person being targeted, and done deal. So we didn't finish. I'm not saying that this isn't interesting or funny, but it was more that what's going to happen is that there's going to be a large amount of time and space between where something weird happens. Like, for instance, a tank buster or a tank stack, or this, where a full group of, oh, that's a lot of passage of arms, where like a full alliance raid of tanks will be like, well, we kind of have to heal each other. Yeah, exactly, Bokaj. That's kind of the problem. Is that the only time where it's going to be a problem is if there's a DPS check that is being problematic. Which will come up, by the way, according to the timestamps in this one. That will come up, but we have to get there first. Campfire King says, the other day in Vanguard I had a rogue, not a ninja, a rogue. To his credit, he played it perfectly, but he was just a rogue. That... Oh, wow. 5 dead. back in Endwalker, I did have a run ages ago where I had a rogue in Vanaspati. Not a ninja, a rogue. And the funny thing is, after like one poll, the group was like, wait a minute, you're a rogue. And the person who was playing rogue was like, wait a minute. Naruto says, my YouTube died again and the error message was out of memory. How strange. It might be that YouTube is bugging out with something. But yeah, the ninja was basically... Look, the rogue was like, wait a minute, I'm a rogue. Huh, that's weird. And the thing that was the most baffling about it was that they basically recognized that there was something wrong. And then just played the duty anyway. Like, I can see the justification of like, well, we can probably manage. But it was also a bit like... If it was me, I think I would have just left. I would have just left. Like, just like, well, sorry guys, that's my B. I will, I'll take the L on this one so you can get an actually good job. But what was even funnier about it was that they were playing the job like so-so. But they were using Bloodbath like kinda on cooldown, a little bit like they were using like a raid buff. Like, in the absence of having actual buttons to press, they were like, oh, okay, so I'll use Bloodbath. But yeah, that is strange. And that would explain why my YouTube is also crashing a little bit here and there. Maybe they've booked something out and there's some sort of memory leak in the page, which is causing the problem. Which would also explain why how I fixed it on my end by closing all of my YouTube tabs. Specifically. But that is really annoying. This is where something interesting should be happening. Because this fight will coincide with the 20-minute mark where stuff is happening again. But yeah, exactly. Like, the whole group was like, wait a minute, why are you a rogue? And then the rogue was like, yeah, why am I a rogue, actually? And then, like, nothing came of it. Like, that was just the end of that conversation. And then we did the entire dungeon after that. Just, like... weird. It's really strange. But, that looks really, really scary. I don't know what they expected. Piercing resistance debuff. Everyone that participated in the second stack died. Remember, everyone, the reason why you don't cross the stack markers is not because, oh, that'll hurt too much. It's because they give a debuff that makes it so that it will hurt too much. I've actually never been targeted by this chasing effect. Are you just supposed to run away until it disappears? Yeah, with about half the raid dead, I imagine that this isn't going to work. Campfire King says you need to run. If it reaches you, you instantly die. I guess that's why Gazel survived by using Living Dead. Noir says, I had a stepless dancer the other day on high level dungeon roulette. Wait, stepless? Like, were they not using standard step? Were they just like going ding ding, just standard step finish immediately? Or what? They didn't use any dances. Then why are you playing dancer? What? Have we met the ice mage of dancers? I don't care. I'm just leveling it. I'm just gonna level it and then never play it. That's really funny. Like, how? Oh, wait, a random warrior just died. In the warrior squad, a warrior died. Did they respond to anything, Noir? Bing Bong also met such a dancer. Do we have an epidemic of dancers that don't want to dance? Instead of Ice Mage, it's my legs are broken. I don't want to be a dancer. I just want to throw chakrams, okay? I just want to throw thingies. I don't want to dance. Like with Archer. Also, thank you for the super chat, Campfire King. It's the Archer equivalent. I don't want to do this thing that is like a crucial part of the job. I don't want to be a bard. Well, they dance too much in M5. You know, Noir, I feel like there are two possible answers to that one. The first possible answer like that I can come up with anyway is they're insanely bad at the game and not really paying attention. Or might not understand English is also a possibility. Like, option one is, oh, they're just really bad and couldn't or didn't communicate. The other option is straight up it was a bot. Like, those are the ones that I would go with as possible answers. Or explanations. Bing Bong says, mine responded in chat. Funnily enough, when I said, don't forget standard step, I got no response. They looked pretty new when I peaked their level, so I didn't push it further. Yeah, Bondi, some of them. I believe that there is something about a notorious player. I think they're on NA who's trying to beat, like, who tries to beat hard content on, like, Viper or something. Something weird like that. Exclusively using macros to attack. It might not be Viper, but like the idea being that they're basically attacking with just a macro and they're doing terribly badly, but they still do it. Like at that point, they'd probably do better with a bot, but that's not what they're doing. But yeah, it's possible that they were new. But it gets really strange when they do answer or write in chat, but they don't respond to anything. Oh, it was a gunbreaker. Thank you, BB Love. Why gunbreaker? Wouldn't it be smarter to choose a job with less weaves? Like, if you're gonna do that? Like, if you're going to make it weird, you might as well optimize the weird. Also, I recognized that earlier than when the tanks finally beat the DPS check on the previous boss. I didn't even as much as blink. But with most of the raid alive, it seemed pretty manageable. So that was why I was like, oh, I mean, that makes sense. But what is going to be interesting is if anyone dies throughout this, it can get a little scary. Because he does have a multi-stack that can absolutely wipe you if you have too few people. Although, with a lot of tanks, maybe it's fine. Naomi says, when I first started dance, I definitely didn't use technical step correctly. I wanted to save it for the right moment. But I definitely did use standard step. I mean, in fairness, a lot of players that get into Final Fantasy XIV will go in with the wanting to use their cooldowns at the right moment. You know, the classic saving it for the bosses and stuff like that. Which is, like, the thing is, it's more like just a simple misunderstanding. Like, as soon as, like, for the most part, as soon as people are explained, like, yeah, well, I mean, if you use them on cooldown, you'll get more value out of them, most players will be like, oh, yeah. And then, like, do that. So for the most part, that's, like, a perfectly normal mistake to make. I sometimes do that. Like, I'll be like, well, I could use my cooldowns here, but the fight is, like, closing in on ending and there's a boss coming up, and I'd actually rather use, like, open better there. Like, there are exceptions where where maybe don't be too caught up in the perfect optimizations and that. Oh, that's a good point, Ogni. Whoever gets targeted with the stack marker just runs to Narnia and invulns it. Noah says spamming roulettes as healer. I've been seeing some interesting things. I feel like it doesn't matter what I QS. If there are randoms, there's a reasonably high probability that something weird is going to happen. Like, the other day I landed an MSQ roulette through Mentor roulette, and I saw that my healer was attacking, like, plenty. They were still, like, maintaining some regions and such, but let me put it like this. I was like, oh, whew, they are attacking. Which should tell you a lot about what kind of healers I sometimes have in MSQ roulette. And I was like, oh, my group is actually pretty good. This seems to work. And then I noticed that the Viper was doing a lot less damage than me, the tank. Like, a lot less. And then I noticed that they were doing the, like, AoE animations on Gaius. And sometimes they would see that their Honed Reavers and Honed Steel buff would, like, flip-flop. And there were times where their speed buff just ended. Like, as in, it just gradually ended while they maintained the damage buff and just swapped between the two finishing buffs without using them properly and stuff. So I was like sitting there like, whew, whew, my healer's good. What's the Viper doing? He says, what are you doing? So it's like, if you really want to see something weird, queue for MSQ roulette more. Also, I will say, I am actually a bit surprised. Like, looking at this run with all tanks, on the one hand, this is in better gear than when this was current, which would justify that it's a little bit faster. But I am surprised by how fast they did clear it, considering there was a wipe on the penultimate boss. But it is pretty funny how easy it is to do a duty like this with just tanks. I wonder... that's the thing, is that the first thing I think then now is... how much harder would it be if you introduced some DPS to the mix? Because for like the tanks here, most of them are like self-sufficient in some way or another. Like maybe the main tank in certain situations needs a little bit of help, maybe. But for the most part, any damage each tank can deal with entirely on their lonesome. So, like, that should work. But if you introduce some DPS, so like, for instance, half of the raid is tanks and half of the raid is DPS, like you just replace all the healers and the DPS with tanks, how much harder would it be to keep those DPS alive? Because they would need healing. Like, they will need help from the tanks to survive things at some point. So I think that is interesting to think about. But yeah, that would be funny, wouldn't it, Rust? Oh, finally a healer that attacks, and then they don't cast any healing. They're just, like, I have actually seen those. The most obnoxious examples of that is... I haven't... Well, rather, I haven't seen them. I've heard of them. Stories of players doing MSQ roulette. They land in... I believe usually the problems are in Porta de Comana, and it's usually white mages that are the problem. Because what'll happen is, in those stories, like I've heard of them in my comment sections, I've heard of them on Tales from Duty Finder. But the story being... you go in, it doesn't actually matter what tank you are. Oh, sure, copper sulfate, but the thing is, the problem players are more like, the problem is like sweaty tryhard type of problem, not the they're bad kind of problem. I mean, they are bad, but they're bad for for a different reason than, well, they're probably new. Rather the opposite. Because what'll happen is it doesn't actually matter what tank you bring. Porta de Commander will almost certainly require that you that the healer heals the tank a bit. Just a bit at some point. The tank will need a little bit of sustenance. Maybe if they bring potions, they're fine, but you can't, as the healer, assume that the tank did. You have to assume they didn't. Because if they didn't, then, like, they can't solve that. Like, in my case, if I land in Porta de Commander, I'm like, well, if I had potions, they'll be here. If I didn't bring them, they're here, and I can't access this while I'm in Porta de Commander. So, if I forgot, I forgot. Now it's your problem, healer, right? But the problem players will then be like, well, tanks are so sturdy, I don't need to heal them. And then be like surprise Pikachu face or mad when the tank can't do it. Like when the tank is actually not capable of doing it all on their own. Which is often even weirder because sometimes, like, the healer has to heal the DPS as well. Like, the DPS will die from the random AoE in the fight if nothing is done. And yeah, exactly, Ceres. I was told once by a white mage, you're a warrior, you can heal yourself in Porta de Commander. Was like, again, yes, a bit. Like, a warrior can heal themselves a lot more than a paladin can in Porta de Commander. A warrior can heal themselves like a smidge more than a Dark Knight can. But they will probably need some help. Just some help. Not a lot, but some help every now and then. And I think the reason why this comes up specifically with white mages is because the three other healers, if their party is playing perfectly, might actually be able to get away with basically healing nearly no one. I could imagine an astrologian might need to cast an aspect at Helios here and there. for the DPS, but their cards and essential dignity is almost certainly plenty for the tank. Like, sufficient. They don't need any more than that. But White Mage has Benediction. That's it. And Scholar and Sage has all their passive healing, so usually when they have to use, like, if creation, diagnosis, or prognosis, it's usually because people took a lot of unnecessary damage, or some unnecessary damage at least. I've talked about this in some of my mentor-led videos, when it happens to come up. My nose is so itchy today. Just wipe it if the healer doesn't heal, when there's not enough self-healing. I mean, that's what's going to happen, Viek. Like, you don't even need to force it. It'll happen completely automatically. But it is a general thing, I feel like. And this, like, the thing is, most players understand that that there is some level of hyperbole when these things are said. Some level of exaggeration. And that it also applies to specific points in the leveling experience and such. But there are a lot of cases where people are like, well, the healer basically doesn't need to do anything if your tank is a warrior. Meanwhile, basically you're saying the warrior is completely immortal and unkillable. The warrior that, before they get bloodwetting, but have raw intuition, basically has... Imagine if Paladin had Hallowed Ground for 6 seconds, maybe like 7 or 8 because of how like the healing comes in a little late, on a 25-second cooldown. That would be ludicrously powerful. Especially if it also came with a full heal on top. Like basically Hallowed Ground and Benediction combined on a 25-second cooldown is basically what Raw Intuition amounts to on an AoE pull. But like there's like 17 seconds between that, and some pulls will do enough damage that the tank can die in those 17 seconds without help. And sometimes that's because the pack is just really strong, and sometimes it's because, well, yes, the warrior that could do it was in like they were synced down. This one is not. And sometimes it'll be even weirder than that. This one will probably be rare, but let me put it like this. And I actually heard someone say on my my mentor carry build video from a while back. So I do remember someone saying that these kinds of like carry builds, where you're basically making a gear set with the express purpose of overwhelming old content by being like over-prepared, quote-unquote, will give Sprouts the wrong idea. Makes it difficult for a healer to learn, because this tank is taking no damage, but that tank is taking a lot of damage. How can that be? Thank you, Aerodil. Where, like, the counter-argument being that, well, the lesson there is that every tank is going to feel different. You have the power to help them, or give them an easy time. If you want to. Like, it is possible in, like, when you get synced down to certain level ranges, to have enough tenacity to reduce damage taken by 20% at all times. If you want to. Yes, you're not going to do as much damage as someone who didn't do it, because like they'll have crit determination maxed out instead. But you can, and well, if you're queuing Mentor Roulette, and that's the whole crux of that conversation. If you're queuing Mentor Roulette, there is no duty in the Mentor Roulette with the DPS check so tight that the tank choosing tenacity instead of determination, for instance, is going to make or break the pull. Like, it is never going to be that tight. And if it is, you can just switch to your other gear set if you have one. Cat says, that's why I don't mitigate with Sprouts. Have to prepare them for the worst. Yeah. The reality, the truth come out of the Burger Crown mentor. They're actually playing terribly to prepare the Sprouts for the reality of the situation. All those bad mentors, they're actually all mega awesome players. They're insanely good, but they're choosing to be garbage to make sure the Sprouts learn. Could you imagine? Oh, that would be funny. Like every time you have like a group of mentors that land together somehow, like everyone is a mentor, because like it was like a big crown queuing for specific duty, and then like mentor letters just land in there, and then like it's the fastest clear of the duty ever done. Like every time that happens, there's just a speedrun record posted. But every time you see a mentor as a Sprout or a non-mentor, they're just garbage deliberately. Oh, that would be so funny. They're doing you a favor by standing in easily avoidable AoEs, yeah. But yeah, on that note about the White Mage and Portal to Commander thing, I feel like the lesson to take away from that is not... one part of it is like, don't be that guy. But to not be that guy, the White Mage going, well, I've done this duty without healing before, so you figure that one out. It's possible, so I'm not going to heal. The way you avoid being that guy is by step 1, recognize that every group is going to be different. And step 2, realize that your job is to keep the group alive first and foremost. And step 3 is of course question mark. Step 4, profit. You're now a better player because you're able to adjust to your surroundings. Sarah says, my lesson was have enough potions, TBH. I don't know, I feel like... So here's the thing. If you can't clear the duty because the healer's not healing, and the healer's not leaving, let me see if I can find it. This one? On the one hand, the healer could argue that they're actively trying to complete the duty. They're attacking the mobs. But at the same time, it's the healer not healing. They have the power. They know they have the power. Like, they know they have the capacity to make it so, and they're not. Right? That's just all I'm saying. You could kick them, and probably be fine. Cat says it's possible with a single Sage or Scholar, at least in Castra Mirianum, so I'm not going to tank. The healer not healing, the tank just turning tank stance up and stepping aside and going, okay, well then go ahead. You do it. No, I'm not gonna tank, you do it. If you don't want to heal, then I don't want to tank. Now what do we do? Noah says, I don't get not wanting to heal to be TBH. Like, is spamming Stone Glare that fun to them? I don't think that's the problem, Noah. I think they might be getting a little too lost in the sauce. I think we actually had a conversation about that on the Discord recently. Cole, who is a Savage Raider, mentioned that they had seen a lot of groups where, so Cole usually goes in Party Finder, I believe, where healers, like, the group wipes due to a severe case of not enough healing received. Easy problem to solve, right? And then you see that at the moment where the team was dying, the healers were just casting single target attacks. Like, they were just attacking. They had the means to save it, and they didn't. On the one hand, there is this whole thing with don't waste your time casting healing spells if you could use an OGCD, right? Fair enough. On the other hand, there is a point where it's like, well, it's prog. Cast that healing spell. Figure out what you can do with it next time. Think about all the time saved by casting stone and wiping instead of GCD healing. Think about all the time you could save by wiping. But yeah, it is basically that. It's like, it is a little strange. I'll give you that. Let me see if I can give you a good example of this while I'm here. I believe in Porta de Comana, a Warrior Storm's path is like 380 potency? Maybe it's 350. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. You, of course, have the 10% bonus from Storm's Eye. But a White Mage's Stone 2 being 190 potency plus 30% is like 250 potency or so every GCD, which I believe is, like, when you consider that a warrior also has a minus 20% damage multiplier, like the listed potency is not true because tanks do 20% less damage at all times, just invisibly. There isn't a trait or anything, they just do. Like 100 potency for a tank is 80 potency for everyone else. But there isn't a trait that says why that is. With that in mind, a White Mage casting Stone 2 is very likely more damage than any tank's filler GCD in Porta de Comana. So the healer might feel like there is some sort of justification in being really focused on getting as many stones out as possible, because it actually is like every time they manage to cast stone is like the tank also getting an extra attack in. Now, if you wipe, that's completely unhelpful though, right? It's pretty simple math there. If you wipe, then you've wasted all potential time you could have saved. But the argument that maximizing the damage you can do as a healer in a dungeon like Porta de Comana is pretty significant, because it's actually a lot of damage. Although it's probably less than 25% of the total damage. Without even looking at FF logs, if we assume all 4 players are equally good, also Lamau, FF logs for Porta de Comana, the DPS will do more damage than the tank and the healer. And there's 4 players, so the healer and the tank each will do less than a fourth of the damage. But how much damage is the healer attacking going to matter? I'm just saying, I can really tell when the healer's not attacking in MSQ Roulette. But it is such a minor thing. That is also why I imagine you see so many healers that are so weird about it. Like, where you see... where you see healers not attacking. Because it's like, well, it doesn't really matter anyway. It's just MSQ Roulette. That's just third out of memory during stream for me. YouTube is really being weird today. Really weird today. Maybe it'll do better on Saturday. But But that is really annoying. I imagine that it could be a topic of the stream that is boring, but it could also be YouTube acting up that is the reason why we're less than we usually are. Healer AoE damage level 50 is insane. Yes. Absolutely ludicrous. I think the only tank that even comes close at level 50 is Paladin. And their AoE at level 50 averages 170 potency. And then they have Fight or Flight on top. Meanwhile, you have like White Mage, whose Holy One plus 30% is 172. And they have Presence of Mind. So a White Mage is like doing as much potency as a Paladin. And I remember that Paladin would do 20% less because of the innate damage down again. So White Mage is, just as an example, absolutely ludicrous at level 50 on AoE. Like, I could actually imagine that at level 50 a White Mage might be able to go toe-to-toe with a Black Mage on AoE damage. That's how crazy it is. And White Mage is like, well, their Holy is 140. Both Scholar and Sage does more. Naomi says YouTube has been fine for me. That's good. That is good. YouTube Studio has crashed for me twice. Multiple people have reported out-of-memory errors, or specifically YouTube throughout the stream. So maybe YouTube is doing something weird that is causing problems. But yeah. Non says it's just weird to me that the opposite of no DPS healers exist. It is pretty funny, isn't it? That is pretty funny. No worries, Naomi, and thank you. That's awesome, Cat. It's green DPS, not healer. Well, everything's a DPS, right? We have blue DPS, red DPS, and green DPS. But I have a feeling that the whole memes with tanks don't need healers and all that probably didn't help. Like, it probably didn't help. Yeah, Copper Sulfate, that's basically the Final Fantasy XIV equivalent of that Uno meme. Cast a healing spell or draw 25. I don't have a deck of Uno, I just have regular cards, although otherwise that would have been funny. Could you imagine? I just out of nowhere bring that meme up and I just actually draw 25 Uno cards out of nowhere. I've just had these. I've had the meme, the joke ready the entire stream. Like some sort of TV kitchen. I could heal the tank, but a Flauter's Misery. Well, in fairness, Noir, that one comes as a result of healing the tank. Time to add 1/10 of the amount of cards in my hand to my hand. I use Astral Draw. But we have some clips for next time. And we got like Well, given how it exponentially increases, I guess we didn't get halfway, but we got a lot done on a Culinarian Relic. And, yeah, this might be a good time to wrap up. So, if you enjoyed this particular stream, it helps me a lot if you leave a like on it here on YouTube. That tells the algorithm this was an enjoyable stream and you'd like other people to enjoy it as well. So thank you so much in advance. And if you'd like to be part of the Discord community server, there's a link in the chat right there. There you will find links to videos and streams whenever I put them out. You'll also find the in the announcement room, you'll also find the schedule where you can see what else is coming up in the coming days or weeks. I usually update it Sunday or Monday. And if you grab the reminder role in the role assignments room, you'll get a notification whenever I post these links, as well as an extra one around 15 minutes before stream starts, so you can catch it right when we go live. And if you'd like to support the channel even more directly, you can become a member of the channel, you can gift memberships, you can use the super chat system, or if you don't like any of that, there's a Ko-Fi link that Ardell posted right there in the chat, and it's also in the description. It all helps support me and the channel directly, so that I can focus on doing stuff like this with all of you. So thank you so much for the support. But that'll be all from me. So Caetsu, is kind of funny that you swap from everyone is allowed on Ravana to Resoir only. I can't actually be on the moon on Ravana, so that's the reason. But I'm guessing that you're doing it as a joke, which is kind of funny. But with that said, good night, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye bye!